goes. Right. Let's go. I want to hear what he says about net neutrality. That'll be good for shorts. Well, I already did that on. Looks like they. I didn't. I gave him.
Honestly, I'll worry about it next stream. This is for this stream. It'll be okay.
No. Right. Yeah. You might just want to throw that up here.
Let's say, Nate's conversation is going to carry most of the time, and then we just do like a short 5-minute yap after he's done. We'll go.
We don't even.
No, we will go through the topic. Do a pre-show, some of this, post after Nate's done. If there's anything left to say. The then we want to have time. Hey, Wes, hear me? Can you have Go Primal Core pulled up? We're gonna plug that, but also we're gonna be pulling up the affiliate site. Go primalcore.com and just have a tab ready for that.
Let's do it.
And once you're good, just take us live. We're ready whenever.
Our audio sounds muffled.
No, this is from last time.
Gray Area 57.
How we doing, guys? How are we doing?
I think we're doing great. We already got a lot of people in the chat. Shout out to everyone that's here tonight. We're going to do an interesting thing today. We're going to interview somebody. And we've done, things where we have show hosts on, we have experts on, but we're going to talk to someone who has on the ground knowledge of kind of
Yes.
the conflicts and discussions we've been exploring.
Yes.
Talk about that a little bit.
So the guest that we have on tonight, his name is Nate Collin, business owner, buddy of mine that I most recently met. Fascinating story. Just he's got a lot that he knows about. So he's a dual citizen of Israel and the United States. A lot of the time on the show, we typically try to have big giant marquee guests and subject matter experts at the same time, but also we want to mix it up by having kind of like other perspectives too, especially people who have a different experience than the average person.
Sure. Well, I think it's a great idea. When you told me like, hey, like I want to have this guy on, I want to do this, I said, that sounds like a phenomenal idea. I want to talk to Russians. I want to talk to Ukrainians. I want to talk to Israelis. I want to talk to people from Palestine. I want to talk to anybody and everybody that we can interview.
Yes,
right?
That's an element that is missing a lot in society right now.
Sure.
We're not bringing dialogue from everybody. Like if you just go on the internet right now, it's just of course everyone wants to criticize Israel, but like we don't ever get to hear from the citizens themselves very often, besides the ones that are like Zionist and just super outspoken. The guest coming on is not like a Zio or anything like that. He's very based in some of the things, and he has his own opinions, of course.
The thing that interests me about it is like oftentimes we sit in judgment or whatever, and I do condemn what's gone on there, by the way. I do. But we sit here in judgment, but ultimately we're thousands of miles away, right? And we've never been there. We don't know what it looks like. We really don't know what the people like what they're really about.
Yes.
Right?
100%. And so that's the thing for me. He might have only partial perspective, but again, we don't want this to be an echo chamber. That's the whole point of us bringing other guests on. And, there's other people who are like, we won't platform a Zio or we won't platform any Israeli or Muslim. Like, I mean, we had Suleiman on.
We'll talk to anybody. But here's the one stipulation. No religious leaders, okay? We're not having an imam on. We're not having a priest on. We're not having a rabbi on. We're not doing that.
Yeah,
okay?
because they'll try to preach you at that point.
Everyone tries to convert you, right?
I think it looks fine. I don't think he's gonna move. We're good. Go ahead, Wes. Wes, ears. Oh, audio. Wes, go ahead and.
Out.
Wow.
Power
wow. Mossad heard us and they just killed the power. Or CIA. We don't know. We just got hit with a big
we got hit by
blackout.
something.
Yeah.
It scared you a little
It
bit.
scared me at first. I was what the like because we were in the middle of like saying something. I don't even remember what we were just talking about.
Talking about having
talking
a
about
guest
something
on.
guest on, talking about something about Israel, you know, and then it's just like boom.
Well,
and then it did it twice. So
we're back now. This is going to be a chill show. We're really looking forward to having our guest on. Really looking forward to interviewing him today. We've also got a crazy selection of news for you as well. We've got the latest Trump tweet, which dropped like 30 minutes ago. I have a whole selection of Iranian state media. Their kind of messages to the West. You know, there's that meme of Nikocado Avocado, the fat guy who does the mukbangs.
I have
There's
not
a
seen
meme of him with like the jihadi flag behind him and like in like the beard and stuff where he's like my message to the West. But that's for real. You know, that's for real. And they're giving their messages to us. So I wanted to see what they were saying, what they were threatening to do. We've also got the Tucker debacle. Have you heard about this? You heard about Tucker?
No, dude. I took a break the last like 24 hours from media. I was just
well,
I kind of got the Owen contagion from that show.
Talk about being unprofessional. Of course, you need to know everything about Tucker being spied on by the CIA and possibly being
okay, maybe I
charged
did
for
see
an
something
agent.
about that. And then also didn't Laura Loomer call him out or something like that?
Yeah.
She's the one who called in the inform, like she's the one who called him in, right?
Yeah, she's like Trump's like scout. Like she's Trump's track star.
You know what's interesting about Laura Loomer, and not to diverge, have you seen her going on her trip to India now? And she's just saying,
I did see that
okay,
happened.
so she's like, I don't know what's going on there, but like something's not feeling right about that, because before, if you look at all of her tweets from like 2025, she's just trashing the Indian people, saying the worst things possible. And now she's like, I love India. This is the best country ever. And I'm like,
well, I mean, what's her interest? Her interest is really in like the Likudnik wing of like Israeli government, right? Like that's what she serves and supports. And you know, what did Modi do? He came over to Israel like right before the war.
Yeah,
right before the war, and the Indian ship was involved in the naval training exercise with the Iranian ship. The second they leave the naval training exercise, they get sunk.
And the only reason why I'm bringing it up is not like to trash India or anything like that. It's more like criticism of Laura just doing a full 180.
Well,
like
it's all grift,
you know. And like for me, we don't attack groups on this show. Like that's not our brand. We attack particular people. We disagree with certain issues, but we're not like ideas. We are not like, oh, we hate Indians. But if I look at Laura's like past tweets that she's tried to take down, she's like saying the most crazy stuff possible just for clicks. So
Well, it all means nothing. It's just like everyone being anti-war until Trump declares war, and then everyone's pro-war now. You see, it all means nothing anyway. These people are not ideologically consistent. That's
Yes,
the two words
that is
phrase
the
to
thing.
describe it.
yeah, but not the gray area. We were pretty consistent. I'm not gonna lie. And also we challenge our own beliefs every time we do a deep dive. Tonight we're not actually doing quite the deep dive. We want the focus to be around the conflict
It's a
itself.
shorter, nicer show.
Shorter, nicer show. Also, Nate is going to be coming on shortly at 8:00, couple 8 minutes from now.
Yeah, it's pretty close to now. Actually,
Do we want to just kind of kick off and start with any of the clips just to
well, let's not start with the clip. Let's go ahead and pull up that first link, the latest Trump tweet. If you're able to do that, Wes, we'll go ahead and read that. And this dropped like probably an hour ago by now. That means like 2 weeks ago in modern time, because like an hour is an eternity.
Okay, we'll read the whole thing.
Here,
from
just scroll down if you would.
Do you
Scroll
want?
down and then click on the text thing.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right. This is from Trump. This is today. This is like an hour ago. Iran has long been known as a master of media manipulation and public relations. They are militarily ineffective and weak, but are really good at feeding, in quotations, the very appreciative fake news media, false information. Now AI has become another disinformation weapon that Iran uses. Quite well, considering they are being annihilated by the day. They showed phony kamikaze boats shooting at various ships at sea, which looks wonderful, powerful, and vicious. He's so weird. He's so... Everything's amazing. Everything's always the most incredible.
The most vicious you've ever seen.
Wonderful, powerful, and vicious. But these boats don't exist. Yeah, that's adjectives about women that I like. Wonderful, powerful, and vicious. I like that. I like that. Okay.
He needs his big booty Latinas.
Yeah, it's possible. Wall Street Journal's false reporting and others are all in service, with the exception of one, which will soon be flying the skies. Buildings and ships that are shown to be on fire are not. It's fake news generated by AI. Well, the oil tankers are on fire, Donald. Like that's objectively true.
Yeah.
Do not believe your lying eyes, your lying ears. Don't trust them. Trust me. I'm Donald Trump. I'm getting better at doing the Trump.
You are.
But
we didn't even get the wig.
Yeah, I didn't get the wig. Sorry, guys. Sorry. I'll read the rest of it. For instance, Iran, working in close coordination with the fake news media, shows our great USS Abraham Lincoln aircraft carrier, one of the largest and most prestigious ships in the world, burning uncontrollably in the ocean. Not only was it not burning, it was not even shot at. Iran knows better than to do that. The story was knowingly fake in a certain way. You can say those media outlets that generated it should be brought up on charges for treason. I want them executed, because that's the punishment for treason, for the dissemination of false information. The fact is, Iran is being decimated, and the only battles they win, in quotations, are those that they create through AI and are distributed by corrupt media outlets. The radical left-wing press knows this full well, but continues to go forward with the false stories and lies. That's why their approval rating is so low, and I can win a presidential election in a landslide, getting only 5% positive press. They have no credibility. I am so thrilled to see Brendan blah, blah, chairman of blah, blah, looking at FCC, looking at licenses of some of these corrupt and highly unpatriotic news organizations. They get billions of dollars from America, blah, blah, blah.
Free American Airways and use that to perpetuate lies. Okay.
Yeah, you want to read the rest of it?
Yeah, I'll read the rest of it. Both in news and almost all of their shows, indicating the late night morons.
Late night morons.
Who get a gigantic salaries for horrible ratings and never get, as I used to say in The Apprentice,
You're fired.
You're fired. Thank you for your attention to this matter. What? Okay, we got to get a new ending for him there. It's always thank you for your attention to this matter. DJT.
It's officially become not cute. And I just, here's the thing. If you're going to defend yourself, do whatever you have to do, Donald. But everyone knows that this is like spiraled out of control already.
So did I read this correctly? He's saying that there aren't oil tankers and ships sinking, even though we're asking for the rest of the world to actually help us defend the strait.
What he did was the traditional politician thing, where you have like a line graph going down. You have like a portion of it where it goes up while it goes down. So they zoom in on the portion where it goes up. So he's like, this one video is fake. That makes it all fake. None of it is real. And
right.
here's the thing. It's obviously going to be a bloody, protracted conflict. We're not saying that Iran is doing good, but they are surviving, and that's all they have to do
That's
to win.
all they have to do.
That's the win condition, right? And I don't think, and I was thinking about this earlier, we haven't been in a conflict with anyone that has like a win condition in a very long time.
Like
So-
they must absolutely win.
well, no, like they like if they fulfill this condition, then they win the conflict. Like if they are able to keep the Strait of Hormuz shut for a long enough period of time, they win. Like eventually, something will have to be done.
You're right, because the other circumstances, the other wars, they didn't really close the strait. If you think about Vietnam, you think of Afghanistan, Iraq,
Well,
North
technology
Korea.
wasn't there.
Yeah, you're right. And
be a
also the
threat.
globalism of
Yeah.
all the companies and
The
the countries
commerce and
being in.
everything.
Yeah, you're right. That is
100%.
true. It's a different ball game now.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's okay. We have the boomer to help us. The boomers will save us. Heil boomer. That's what I say.
Yes. Okay, so we are now being joined by Nate. Nate is a dual citizen of Israel and the United States. Good buddy of mine. Great conversations I've been having with him off camera. And I just was like, you know what? Everyone needs to hear different perspectives. Let's get you onto the show. I think this is going to be a very good guest. This is the first time he's kind of doing this. He's just kind of like a normal guy. And these are the people that we also need to be talking about these issues as well, because everyone has an opinion. So at the end of the day, introducing Nate. Nate, how you doing today, man? Oh, you're muted. You're
Got
muted.
an audio issue.
Got
here.
an
Just
audio.
One
You're
second.
muted.
What is it this time?
Better now?
You're
We
good.
got you.
Perfect.
You're good.
There we go. What's going on, guys?
Doing
Doing-
good.
So
He just gave you a nice intro.
yeah, it was mid. It was mid.
It was mid. It was mid. I'll take it. I like to say it makes for a great first date.
Yes.
So it's an interesting little backstory. But in around 99, I'm the middle of 7 kids, same parents, and my parents decided that overseas was the best place for us. Long backstory. They sort of bought into Y2K a little bit. It was, fun. It was very fun.
Right.
So we all shipped up, moved over there. We ended up getting citizenship there as well. And we lived there for about 6 years before they ultimately moved back due to my father's business. He was a general contractor and such. And we kind of ended up staying here since then. But living there for an extended period of time definitely gave me, I don't know, maybe a little bit of a perspective on things, right? A lot of people, their concept of Jews and Israel and Judaism is based largely off, I wouldn't even say propaganda, because a lot of it is true to an extent, but just different content that we see circulating online. And I think that sometimes the perspective of someone kind of living there on the ground, so to speak, might help people kind of put the pieces together a little bit more.
Excellent. And good. You already
Yeah.
kind of jumped the gun. This is exactly what we were going to ask.
No, this is fascinating to me because like I want to talk to everybody, and that's the purpose of our show. It's why it's called The Gray Area, because like we say this all the time on the show. It's usually there's not a Star Wars story. It's of like the rebels and then the evil empire. Usually it's somewhere in the middle, and everyone has their own interests, but no one really talks to the people on the ground, the citizens of these countries. And like we certainly have issues with our government. Do we not?
A ton of them.
With the boomer plague and all of it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting to talk to you and other people eventually, about these things, as you have experience on the ground.
Now, before we jump into your specific experience, you told me something cool. You said something about your great uncle was the tank commander, and he was like one of the main guys that was part of the war and helped win that conflict. Explain that.
Yeah, so it's one of my mother's favorite stories growing up on how we ended up making citizenship there. But we were obviously struggling with the embassy. We were, if I remember correctly, just a couple weeks of getting kicked out of the country. They thought we had essentially been Christian, converted to Judaism to try and make citizenship, or as they call it, aliyah, right? And so my mother was moving some boxes around in a room where we had storage just in our house. And she noticed a letter float down, like a piece of paper, and slide underneath the boxes. And she was about to walk out of the room, but in the back of her head, she said, "No, I got to go, pick it up, put it away." So she went, she picked it up, and it was an old letter from a box of her grandmother's letters that I guess she had inherited, over the years, just kept with her and brought with her overseas for the move. And she opened it up, and it was a letter from somebody that we came to know as Saba David or Grandpa David. But I believe he was my mother's great uncle, and he was a tank commander in the 6 Day War when he was about 16 years old. And he's kind of a big deal over there, I guess, so to speak, as far as like a legend goes in the military and the government area. One of the main things, I guess, that kind of pushed him to the forefront of stuff there was one day his whole squad was going through a area full of landmines, and only his tank and one other made it out. So he was kind of, he was one of the nut jobs that made things happen, right? So she decided to look this guy up, and she reached out to him and contacted him, and he was still around, right? And he made a couple calls and helped get our paperwork and everything pushed through, and we ended up connecting with him after that, right? And ended up maintaining a relationship, I guess you could say, while we lived out there. So it was kind of cool to watch it kind of go full circle. Yeah.
So now, kind of getting back to you, talk a little bit about your experience in Israel, because the average American has no idea what it's like out there.
What's it like over there?
It's hot and it's dry, you know. The culture overall is very, very different, right? People, there's a lot more raw, I guess you could say, as far as like down to cutting people off in traffic, right? Road rage, things like that. To see two people get out of vehicles at stoplights and get in each other's windows is not uncommon to see. But at the same time, they're also extremely united by this sense of survival, right, that everyone has over there. So much so to the point that when my parents decided to move all of us back to the States, originally it was going to be temporary in 2006. And I still remember going to the bank with my mother to close out all the bank accounts. And it was essentially like walking into a TD or a Chase Bank and sitting down with a random teller, right? Like this person did not know us. My parents did not have a relationship with them at all. But she just got to talking to my mother. Oh, why are you closing out the accounts, etc.? And my mother told her we were all moving back here, except for my oldest brother, who was still in the military. All right, over there, the serving is mandatory, right, for men and women. And they have a program called the Lone Soldier Program, is essentially what it translates to. But it's like a housing program. We get a lot of people coming over trying to make citizenship, whether it's like estranged people from Europe, Russian Jews, German Jews, etc. Right? It's common for guys to come in that don't have family or anywhere else to go. They want to join the military, get citizenship, and have a place to live. So this program provides housing. And it took a couple months, just like any government program does, for it to activate and kick in. And there was going to be anywhere from a 3-week to a 3-month period where we were going to be out of the country, and my older brother had nowhere to live. And this random bank teller told my mother, here's my number, have him call me tomorrow. He can live at my house. And my older brother ended up living with this woman for a little over 3 months, rent-free, food paid for, you know, everything, because everyone's had that experience, right? Everyone's had a son who's had to go through. Everyone's had a daughter who's had to go through, right? So it's ironic in a sense that, you know, they'll put a brick through your window if you cut them off at the stoplight. But at the same sense, you know, but when it comes down to it, everyone has each other's backs to an extent.
It's interesting because it's a country of, you correct me, 9 or 12 million. I forget approximately how many people.
I wouldn't know off the top of my head, but I would say probably closer to the 9. It's small. It's about the size of New Jersey.
So when you have an environment like that, everyone is together by default, right?
Correct.
And, in America, like we have 50 different states, obviously.
Yeah. Well, then there's also the aspect of like you are literally always at war for the most,
right.
And there is, you know, to the Israeli people, they see these Arab countries as outside, you know, enforcers, despite whatever Israel has actually done to invoke that, right? Because we're going to get to those things as well, because Israel isn't innocent at the end of the day as well.
Yeah, it was kind of a standard. Think of like driving home in the evening with your parents listening to the news, 1010 Wins or 77 WABC, you know, like one of these talk shows, and they do traffic every minute on the 15 minutes. Think of how they would announce an overturned tractor trailer. That's how they're announcing rockets landing, suicide bus bombers, right? Like it would be common. It's almost like everyone knows someone at a minimum who knows someone who's either experienced the situation firsthand or helped clean it up because something went off around the block and everyone started running to go help, right?
Sounds like ocean of conflict.
Yeah, it's a very strong sense. The only way I could describe it is kind of survival. Is what it feels like, at least on the ground. Right? Is we're very aware that there's people right next door that don't think we should be here, and we don't think they should be there. Type deal. Right? It's think of it kind of like feuding factions, so to speak. So that kind of sense of danger, for example, in almost every home, it's standard that there's a bomb shelter built. Right?
Saying like, you guys had a bomb shelter built like
in our home.
in
our home. Yeah, in our home. Not a local one in the neighborhood, right? They may have those at more like group residence type setups, like kibbutzes and things like that. I'm sure they have localized group bomb shelters. But for standard like residential neighborhoods, most homes or apartment buildings would have bomb shelters in their individual units. So think of it like you're giving someone a tour of your house. This is the basement. This is the mechanical room. This is the bomb shelter, right? They would regularly do nationwide drills where bomb sirens go off. I have memories at 7, 8 years old hearing the wind whistling really loud through the windows and thinking it might have been a siren. We would do drills where we had to grab our gas masks and run downstairs into it. Think of it like students doing a school shooter drill.
Yeah, that's
same
what
concept.
Doing at a certain age.
Yeah. Except it's happening nationwide, right? So it's just sort of ingrained in the culture to an extent. All the military service is a little different. Nobody's, if you have somebody that goes into active duty here and they get stationed at a branch, even in the United States, it could be thousands of miles away, right? Everyone's coming home on the weekends. It's more like going to a community college type deal, right? Like where you're staying on base during the week for your work and then you leave and you come home. So everyone's carrying, firearms all over the place. It's just a common sort of aspect of the culture.
With that being said, with the 12-day war and the conflict that's going on right now, the war that's going on right now around America and Israel, do you know people on the ground that have, been in these situations where like the missiles are coming in and you're in like the shelter or the bunker or anything like that? Like what is that like for people that you may know or may have heard of that have been involved?
Yeah, so it's granted I haven't been back in a while, right? We came back in 2006. I can't go back for a visit. If I do, I'll get pulled out and thrown in immediately to the military.
Oh, you got out before they had the mandatory military.
Yeah, when you turn, I believe it's 16. Just in time. You get your photo ID. We called it a green card, unrelated to ours, but it's a photo ID. That's where your information goes into the system and the countdown starts. So as long as you leave the country before they get that, you're not in the system yet, right? But if I were to fly back, it would pop. So I have stayed in touch with some people, not as so much, speaking on even a daily or weekly basis. But from what I'm seeing, as far as just on their social media posts, etc., it's kind of normal to an extent, right? It would kind of be like when the freeze happened in Texas, and people are talking about some neighborhoods got hit with no power, no water, elderly people passed away, right? Whose cousin what? It's kind of the same sort of feeling socially, I guess you could say. As people talk about it because we're just used to it.
Is there a tolerance to it? Like, how do people feel about the government in relation to like any of these conflicts that pop off?
So granted, when I lived there, I was a lot younger, right? But there was a very, very, I guess you could kind of say, general consensus socially as far as not supporting it goes. Like I have distinct memories before we came back while my older brother was still in where they were doing the Gaza pullout. All right. So we can keep on going further back, but let's say in the early 2000s, what is now currently Gaza, right, was in control of Israel controlled that, right, by the IDF. Now, people can call it a military occupation, whatever it was, but there were a number of Israeli settlers, people, residents, right, that lived there. And there was a consensus for whatever reason that we were going to hand over this section of land. And everyone social, you know what I mean? As far as just walking around, talking to friends, family, neighbors, the common folks there, nobody supported this. Everyone said we were bringing danger right up to our door, right? All they had to do was start digging tunnels, getting underneath. It was going to be a jump off point for multiple attacks. Now they could reach further inland with different rockets and types of strikes. And it was going to be a problem. And the resistance was so powerful that a number of guys in the military the morning they called everyone in and they were going to send them out to the Gaza pullout to forcibly remove the Israeli citizens, the way the troops form up is in a shape like this. It looks like a horseshoe, and it's called a chet, is what they call it. So the troops form up, and the commander stands in the middle and speaks to them. And when they informed the units who was going where, a number of guys stepped forward and actually shot themselves in the foot to avoid going.
Oh, wow.
Because they knew their own, they're not going to forcibly drag their own family and friends out of the area. So it's interesting now for me to have that memory and now see that exact same thing happening, and everyone's saying, "Oh, well, they're going to ethnically cleanse it, or they're just bombing it," all this different stuff going on. But as far as the Israelis go, like your normal, average, everyday secular Jew or Israeli, nobody supported any of that, and everyone said this would happen, and now that is what's happening.
Okay, so
Go into
now
that.
that highlights something, because there's a long time period in between where they withdrew, and then you had the Hamas basically control the region, and then of course we know October 7th happens.
Yeah.
Now you have family, your brother served. I'm sure you have conversations with family. Like, what was that experience like? As like what
As far as the attack goes on the 7th?
Yes. What do you? I'm sure you knew where you were. What was that like?
Yeah, it is incredibly difficult. If I had to describe it in one emotion, it would probably be anger. Obviously, right, is what most people are feeling. But it is incredibly difficult for me or any of my immediate family or anyone that I know that has spent any sort of time over there to understand why it took so long for them to get a response.
Yes.
There is just no possible explanation for that in my book, other than it was intentional.
Wow.
Now, that's based off nothing but my experience living there. I have I don't have any evidence for that, but it's literally the size of the state of New Jersey. You can drive across the whole country in, a matter of hours. You can get over it in standard helicopter rides in less than an hour. There's just no way. There's no way.
Well, that's the thing, is like our militaries are extremely similar, right? Like we use basically the same equipment, right? And like my dad had a Green Beret on his show, and he was talking about it. He said, listen, like if I was there and I was at the helicopter base that's nearest towards that section of the border, I would be there like pumping like lead out the
15 minutes.
Like 10 minutes. Like this
yeah. It's insane. So I almost, if I'm gonna draw a comparison, just to kind of summarize the whole thing as far as Israel and being Jewish and everything goes, is to equate it to something people understand, is I would say America and Christianity, right? We would say America is a Christian country, right? Presents as Christian, we have in God we trust, on our money, etc. Now you can dive into that and tear that apart, obviously, but that's sort of like the global representation of us, right? Now, in Christianity, I would say there's classes, right? So we have
like different denominations, maybe.
Correct. Yeah. So there's more extreme ones like Greek Orthodox or Catholic, like the Pope, right? There's levels. They're the
and then you got the non-denominational.
Correct. And then as you go down, right, you get further away. And I would say there's plenty of, if you want to dig into red shoes in the Pope, right? Like everyone's got stuff going on at different levels, but that's kind of how it represents. In order to draw a comparison, right, to Israel, I would say the ringleaders, right, are what I would call the Pharisees, or the ultra Orthodox.
The Likudniks, right? The Likudniks.
Yeah. So over there, secular Israelis and Jews don't even like them, to give you an idea. To the point where like people will throw rocks regularly, chase them around. It's encouraged. You know what I mean? Like it's very common to see groups of secular Jew kids like chasing the religious Jewish kids if they walk through the neighborhood at the wrong time. It's very, very common, because the way it's felt about over there is the secular Jews pay taxes, they serve in the military, they keep the country running. The religious Jews don't do any of that other than beg for money for their yeshivas. They live off the state, off welfare. They're a very closed sect. So religious Jews that don't serve in the military see secular Jews as less than and converted Jews as even less than. Make sense?
That is so crazy because here
Yeah.
in America,
It makes a lot of sense.
it's like almost like if you're a beggar, you are a second class citizen in the eyes of an American almost. And it's like
Yeah.
how like it's encouraged if you are. And maybe I'm not equating this correctly. Like I when you talk about them just not having to pay anything and they just go around and they're getting free
Yeah.
benefits, the way you described it to me was almost like they were begging. Like
Yeah,
begging.
that's exactly what they're doing. Exactly what they're doing. So they just line up at the stoplights and they walk around with a tin. There, I believe it was actually my Saba David who had a joke. Over there, a common little item that people carry is a glass breaker. I don't know if anyone's seen one.
Sure.
They'll keep them strapped up in little plastic stationary points along all the buses. So if
Mhm.
bombing, looks like a little hatchet with a metal spike on the end and a small razor blade. So you can cut the seatbelt, break the window, and get out of the bus, right? So he liked to carry one on his keychain. And when the guys would come up and ask for money, he'd go like he was going to put money and whack them in the hand with the glass breaker, right? To give you an idea. Now, this is a guy who, fought in the 6-Day War, was a decorated military veteran of the country, ultimate patriot, I guess you could sort of say. And they are the ultimate elitist version of Judaism, so to speak, right?
It's shocking to me. And here's the thing: money's a big deal, obviously, but they don't have to serve in the military, and then y'all
Nope,
have
they don't pay taxes.
that blows my mind.
No paying
Yep.
taxes is wild to me. This is almost like an oxymoron. So what is the lifestyle? If they're living off of for free, it's not like they're driving around in fancy cars and
No, minivans. Honda minivans. Across the globe, it's the exact same.
so you're considering yourself more elite, but you're doing things that would make you here in the Western society almost like you're poor.
Correct.
That's very interesting.
I didn't know that at all. That's interesting.
So
Yeah.
now going into it, like I know you mentioned something about the Gaza Strip at one point, as well as your brother being in the military. He's still alive, I presume, right?
Correct.
And
Yeah. Yes.
you guys probably communicate. What was it like for him in the military? And especially, I would be curious to know, like, what was the Gaza Strip like? Because you said you also used to play in that area with with kids and stuff, right? If I'm not,
Yeah. It wasn't like militarized to any extent. You understand what I'm saying? Any more than the rest of the country was. Now, if somebody from the U.S. went and just drove around the country, came for a week, right, and stayed, you guys would feel like you were in a military zone. I'll give you an example. You walk into a grocery store, right, or you go to the grocery store. When you drive into the parking lot, the security officer stops you, right?
Sure.
There's a checkpoint at the entrance to the parking lot. They talk to you, look around the vehicle, do a little racial profiling, right? See if anything looks suspicious, maybe check in the trunk, and then they let you through. By the time you park, then you go to walk inside to the place. There's another metal detector. They make you empty your bag. Think of like going through TSA, right? You essentially go through a lighter, sped up version of TSA everywhere. That's walking into a McDonald's, walking into a grocery store, the movies, the mall, a restaurant, anywhere, right? So I don't want to misspeak and say it seemed normal, but comparatively, it wasn't anything worse off, right? As far as the conditions of everything goes. Now, the way they live, as far as like the religious Jews go, there is very, very closed off. The exact same way here. They have their own little private communities. They're generally not the cleanest, right? They don't have municipal trash pickup or anything like that, right? It's you would almost kind of feel like you were walking through an area of Rockland County, New York.
Yeah, that's like that's a not so funny.
Yeah. So I would say very similar. Yeah. Very similar vibe.
I mean, we're in Elvis country right now. It's just not really a thing where you have these communities, but you go up on the East Coast and like it's pretty prevalent, right?
Yeah.
Very, very prevalent.
Like South Dallas would be like the closest like true like Austin doesn't really have a true like hood or something like that with a lot of like you might consider Southeast Austin, but
absolutely
but that gets nothing in comparison. So then yeah, go ahead.
And I also don't know if this is drawing a false equivalency either, but just from what I've noticed is the these types of communities seem to be more prevalent in states and areas that are heavily operated by state-funded agencies, right? When there's more states where they privatize things, it's generally a little bit harder to start to take advantage of stuff on a mass scale. I don't know if that's the exact reason, but it's just something.
Middle management eats things alive, and like that's what happens with the bureaucracy. I think pretty much anywhere and everywhere around the world,
Correct.
especially here in America, and it sounds like that also takes place in Israel. I wanted to ask you this about Netanyahu. What is your perspective on Netanyahu, and what is the perspective on like Israelis, citizens, friends, family, acquaintances that you know? What's the perception of him, and also what's the perception of the evangelical Christians that seem to be in love with him? This is very interesting to us over here.
Yes. Yeah. So growing up, in more recent history, I haven't stayed on top of it to the point where I could speak, very, very informed on current events on it. But just kind of growing up, and as the time has passed, it was more of kind of like a necessary evil. Like everyone's take was kind of he was the better of whatever it was. At least we knew what we were getting with him, type deal. But by the time we moved back to the States, it was more so along the lines of this is starting to feel like a bit of a dictatorship. Like he's you know what I mean? He's not going anywhere. He's just still there, still running, still doing his thing.
He's like Putin, like
exactly. Great analogy. Yeah.
25 years longer, I think. I see videos of him like at the UN or
he's got black hair.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can kind of see him go through the ages, and
yeah.
I think there's been a more successful political animal than Bibi Netanyahu. I mean, like
I think it would be tough to find just based off campaign donations alone. It'd be very tough to find.
Sure. But like the evangelical Christians here, they seem to be in love with that like ultra orthodox faction that you talk about.
Yeah, which I find very ironic because growing up over there, what my parents called us was how did she put it? That we were evangelical Christian, right? But we identified with our Jewish heritage. So she called it Messianic Jew. Now, don't ask me how to explain it further than that. That's kind of what we were given growing up with. And there's obviously the whole story of, the chosen people and right. The country of Israel plays heavily into the New Testament as well. As far as the book of Revelations goes, the end times, peace in the Middle East, it all kind of ties together. And what I see is a lot of evangelicals congregating around that. But ironically, coming up and growing up over there, it was an issue over the 6 years we were there. I believe we went to 2 churches consecutively, full time, right? And multiple occasions on both of them, there were attacks where it would just be secular Israeli teenagers running with Molotov cocktails, or people from the deacons, right, that would be showing up before the sermon earlier, would be walking with drinks thrown at them. They're very openly resented, I would say, right, as far as groups go, almost in that openly over there they'll show disdain towards someone being openly Christian than they would an Arab.
Really?
Is that protection of identity? Is that what that is?
I think part of it might be. A lot of it is ingrained, I would say, to an extent, because the religions, depending on who you ask, can be traced back, right, to kind of parallel points of origin. A lot of the stories kind of overlap. It goes back to the whole Old Testament versus New Testament argument. So I think it's more it's very, very perspective based, right? This is completely an opinion. But in my opinion, it's more so the Christians trying to glom onto it and the Jews being like, we want nothing to do with you. Like, absolutely. But besides the money, we'll take the money, but like, otherwise you can fuck off.
Well, is I don't mean to interrupt, Tim. Correct me if I'm wrong. There is a belief in Judaism where like you're waiting for the Messiah to return, right? Or to come, like the Mosaic, I believe it's called. I'm ignorant of it, but maybe you can go a little
bit to an extent, right? So they do believe in a creator, but as far as mainstream Judaism goes, for what your average everyday practicing Jew goes, we don't have a sort of like Armageddon or end times for secular Jew. That may be something in the more elitist religious sects of Judaism, but just as far as everyday teachings go, if you ask them if there was a point where the Messiah was going to come back, the average Jew would presume you're speaking about Christianity.
Okay, so then this is going right into the conversation that I wanted to talk about, the religious aspects. Like, there's a lot of pride with the Israelis, just like Americans have a lot of pride. And a lot of it is almost intertwined with these religious aspects. We talked about something about the coin having, like, you said Abraham went to the top of the mountain, and I want to
Didn't
understand.
kill Isaac. Let him live.
I want to, without like, I want to understand all of that, because I'm not very familiar with some of the things that Israelis and Jews and kind of, because there is a belief that, okay, this land is ours. I want to understand all of that. And what is your perspective on it all?
So, to stay in line with kind of the cliche, it was promised to me thousands of years ago. And this goes back to, we were having a conversation about this off camera, and somebody kind of chimed in and mentioned something about sort of the goal of peace in the Middle East, and I chuckled and said, "It's never going to happen." And that's what kind of got me and Tim into the conversation, because he was like, "What do you mean?" Right? And it is so ingrained in the culture over there, as far as what land is ours, what area is ours, right? Or what is supposed to belong to the Jewish people, to kind of tie the Christianity and Jewish stories together. Most Christians are aware of the story of Abraham and Isaac, right? Abraham is known as the father of the Jewish people. He was blessed, and God was, making him very fruitful and bountiful, but he wanted to give him a test. So he told him to take his only son, bring him up to the top of the mountain, tie him up, and sacrifice him to himself, right? And so Abraham brought Isaac up and tied him up and was about to plunge the knife, and God appeared and said, whoa, don't, I'm just joking, right? Just messing with you, just making sure we're good. Don't do that. But as a reward, you will go forth and be fruitful and multiply. And if you look, I'm summarizing here, but essentially as far to the east, to the oceans, and as far to the west to the hills of Judea, whatever boundaries God gave Abraham in that Bible verse, he said, this will all be yours and your descendants. Now, on the back of our money there's a coin called a 10 agarot piece. It's like a 10-cent piece, essentially, right? And on one side, I believe, is just the national emblem. And on the other side is a menorah, and it's stamped on a kind of odd-looking raised shape. And I never really knew what it was until somebody showed me. When you cover almost the entire portion of the raised shape, the little edge that stuck out is the current state of Israel. The rest is the borders that God gave Abraham, right? Now, we have a little problem. Islam has a very similar story. And their God told them, this land is yours as well.
Was that the prophet?
I believe so. Yeah, I'm not super well versed on the religion, but that is essentially if you're talking about the war in the Middle East for dummies, that's essentially the dumbed down version, right?
So two guys on opposite mountains, they're basically like, somebody came down to them and said, this land, this is yours.
You're describing the struggle for a greater Israel.
So several thousand years ago, we had two schizophrenics hanging up on a hill, right? And they both went out and started having babies, and now those families are here, right? If you think of it like an old school Western story of feuding families, right? The Joneses versus the Millers, and the great-great-great-grandfather Miller killed great-great-great-grandpa Jones, and so their sons went, and then and now it's just kind of how it is. That's how it is over there.
Well, Abraham had another kid that he wasn't supposed to have, because he didn't want to wait on God to make Sarah pregnant.
Yes,
Ishmael and all of it. So like I'm very And what you were talking about earlier with the Old Testament, what that really signifies is the end of human sacrifice. So like, this is not okay. You do not do this. And a lot of the Old Testament stories where you have these wars that are fought against people that are doing that. So very interesting.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, so now you're explain it even more. So now that the Muslims and the Israelis, they have two different competing ideas, where does that lead us?
So depending on what route you go, if you believe in the Christian Bible, it leads us to ultimate war until the end of time. It's just never going to stop, right? And I think a lot of people get caught up in, and this was I think a good part that we were talking about, is we're all very accustomed to kind of feeling like the world's moral police, right?
Sure.
To a great extent. And I'm not saying, making an argument that we should or shouldn't, right? But I think what a lot of people forget is, in nature, I believe nature is amoral. I don't believe there's a morality to it, right? For example, if a lion hunted a gazelle and killed it, the lion is hunting and providing for its family. You could also present that story as this horrible, hateful lion stalked this poor, helpless little gazelle, hunted it down, tackled it, and snapped its neck in front of its mother.
Yeah.
Right? Everyone's going to hate the lion, right?
Perspective.
And I think when most people have never even been in a physical altercation, right, themselves, or whether it was in an organized combat sport or, God forbid, actually out in real life, right, it's very, very easy for us to sit there, and whether it's a officer involved shooting or, you know, a military strike, whatever it is, say, oh, we shouldn't have done that, right? But what we're forgetting is it's literally a fight for survival. Now, we can say who should be going where, who should be doing this, or who should be doing that, but when it comes to actual war, right, the only reason why any of us have rights, privileges, safety, pursuit of anything, is our ability to enforce it with violence, right?
Yes.
And when you have a group of people that have been, you can trace it back as far as you want, but just from coming from someone who is living there, think of it as living in Texas, and Mexico is actively sending over suicide bombers on the daily, right? On the daily. It's very easy for us to sit here and say, oh, well, we shouldn't attack this way, or, you know, that's a school over there, or we should try and target, but at some point it's just going to be kill or be killed. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not saying one side has the right to do worse than the other, or who was wrong first. But when it's been going on for this long, I'm just personally of the opinion that they're just going to duke it out until only one is left. It's kind of been the story of the world as a whole as it goes.
Yeah.
I agree with the conclusion, but I don't agree with the initial argument. I personally don't think that nature is immoral. Like, I'm a Christian, I believe in God, but we can have that difference of opinion. I do think that your conclusion is correct, as in, like, these groups are going to fight each other. Like,
Yeah, I don't think there's any stopping it.
what's going to happen?
Well, and one thing that I always try to point to is, if I just look at Palestine, if I just look at the region as a whole, forget who was the land promised to. That region has been conquered and reconquered, and people have been fighting it out. It's not even the Israelis and the Jews versus Muslims. You had Muslims against Muslims. You had
Yep.
Romans against Muslims. You had
Everybody wants it. Everybody wants
Christians
And
were-
nobody knows why.
That's what I'm trying to understand. I'm like, but is it the holy site? Is it
Yes.
is it Jerusalem? That's like the
I think that's a big part of it, a massive part of it, right? You have, I don't know if it's a form of biological programming, or hardwiring or what, right? But and we talked about how no successful civilization has never been united by their differences, right? What makes groups strong is their commonalities, and sometimes that commonality is a common fear, right? But when you have two groups that have been hardwired to go after each other, like the extremes of everything are in direct conflict with each other, I don't believe there's a way it's going to stop. I just don't. So it just seems it just seems exhausting to me to sit here and, oh, we shouldn't have done this, or we shouldn't have done, like, at least if one of them gets knocked down to where they can't get back up, it'll stop for a while, which is a crazy thing to say, but
let me add something to this as well. Like, okay, I mean, the region isn't, I always point to the colonialist powers of Britain and France and them, and I feel like they kicked off this modern day situation because
Model.
this modern day model essentially. And what we do and what we see these colonies do is they create these arbitrary lines, because before these colonialists get into these regions, people have already established regions and how they want things formed. Like, I'll give you a perfect example. There's a region between Turkey, Iran, and Iraq where the Kurds live in the mountains, and that could have been its own country. Kurdistan.
They really wanted it too,
right?
Yeah.
And that's what they still want, right? But again, you had these bigger powers that said, well, I think this line should go this way, this line should go this way, and these three, and then they make up those lines. And that's what I saw when they carved up Palestine. That's when I saw what they said, okay, well, we'll give the Jews this area to come back after Hitler, because Hitler at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, he was like, I want all the Jews out of Germany and I want to create a land somewhere else. And if you guys can all agree, let's move the Jews to this.
Several times. Yeah. There is, I'm not defending the guy either, but there is a reason it was called the final solution. They tried other things first, right? That was not his just goal and desire. He just sat there and watched a group of elitist individuals destroy his country, right? And pillage it, gut it from the inside out due to loans, dishonest banking practices, inflation, everything. And he just said, all right, we want them out. We want to take our country back. And he couldn't get everyone to agree on where to put them. So he said, fine, you're all not going to help me with this. I'll take care of it myself.
And he took the extreme position.
Wow.
But when you're pushed to that point,
I'm sorry to interrupt. I'm so sorry. That's like the best synopsis of World War II I've heard in a while, or just like the rise of Nazi Germany. That's very much so correct.
Now, this brings me to another question. And look, if I look at history, I look at context outside of the Middle East, around the world, Jews have been pushed out or have been hated in different parts of the world.
Diaspora.
And so I'm trying to understand, where does the hatred stem? Because I have no opinion on this. This is not this is not my culture. This is something that I'm merely an observer. But why do you feel like, let's say, whether it was the Germans or whether it was the Muslims or whether it was different parts of Europe, why have the Jewish people, or just Israel, like, we'll just call it Jewish people in general, why has there always been confrontation?
Disdain, why they've always been kicked out, essentially.
Yes, let's talk about this.
Okay.
This has nothing to do with what people think.
Yeah, so in my opinion, I think it would be kind of silly to presume that the world is ran by one group, right? I believe that it is controlled by essentially warring factions. And at different times, different groups have had more power or control than others, but it's a tale as old as time. At certain points, the lines were clearly drawn. For example, we had the Catholic Church running everything for a while, Europe, right? And then there were Jews as well. That's where a lot of that started with the whole high interest loans. So considering the fact that rules and laws were passed by religious governing bodies like the church, right? It was illegal for people to charge interest on loans. So banks were essentially people that had an insane amount of wealth, and a loan would be, I'm going to give you money and you're going to give me the same amount back. Now, they had that system set up, in my opinion, to protect the class, right? If I can't get a loan from you, the only way I can get money from you is if I have the means to pay everything, the exact amount, right? That's an extremely high risk loan. Why would anyone give you money if you're not going to get anything back for it? It's a risky enterprise, right? So it made it very difficult for anyone to get ahead. The only way to essentially make money or climb up was conquest, right? You had to kill someone and take theirs, and now you had it, and then you had to protect yours, or you had to do a favor for somebody in a high position and get pushed up, right? And you could be rewarded and be given things for it. But it was very, very rare. Like you couldn't take an average person and say, I want to go start a successful bread stand, right? And get a loan. The only people you could get that money from were Jewish lenders.
Yes, because it's prohibited by Christianity and Islam.
Correct.
Yes.
So due to the fact that the laws governing the way people operated and moved down to how they handled their money were not just based off what I would consider Judeo-Christian values, but like they took it to a very, very extreme point, right? So the fact that they were giving out loans or willing to give loans to people that normally couldn't get them, right, provided a huge wild card or imbalance of power on the global stage, in my opinion. For example, the Catholics, right, could look at the team and say that in order for this guy to take over this country, do whatever he wants, that it's very rare for somebody to bet on a winner because you're not going to get anything for it except the exact amount of money you risk back. So they were able to kind of be a wild card. If one country needed money to raise an army, they could go borrow from Jewish lenders, and if they were successful, right, now that's a much stronger opponent or adversary than what the church was initially anticipating. So there was always a very, very strong separation, right, between the two entities. So I think that's where a lot of it came from. They were too much of a risk as far as throwing the balance of the classes off, right, and not necessarily painting them in a good way either. A lot of times they would use very dishonest practices. I mean, the whole point of a troy ounce now, I believe, is less than an actual ounce, and Jews came up with that, right? It was a way to sneak it. So they were very aggressive, right, in their financial control of things. But in my opinion, that's where a lot of the original disdain came from, because it was just the separation of the two religions and the fact that these guys were able to do things with money, which could there were only a handful of areas to even get wealth like that around the whole globe, right? So to have a large group of people who had access to a large amount playing by a different set of rules was very dangerous for the church or these countries that were generally Catholic.
And that explains one thing about, like, if you look at why did the Germans hate Jews so much, is like, you got to remember that Germany at the time was going through hyperinflation. They were going through a
Correct.
recession.
Weimar.
And
Correct. Yep.
you saw the people that controlled the money at the time were the Jewish people. They had all the businesses. And so there's a very clear contrast here. And it's like, okay, what's going on here, right?
Correct. Yeah.
So then this kind of, let's take this full circle and help me understand, because, okay, so we've seen this pattern of like money, power, banking, that seems to be very hereditary within Jewish cultures. They actually have been proving that you pass down specific traits through your genetics.
Correct.
Thousands of years. And there's a clear pattern here, like whether the Jews are here in America, whether they're in Israel, whether they're like, they clearly have had this consistency of money and finance. And I mean, I have friends in Long Island who are Jewish, and their dads are just like heads.
It is ingrained.
What?
Yeah.
So where, like, help me understand this. Is this like, okay, this is a battle of culture? Is this like, what is this?
Yeah, I would equate it to culture. It kind of like how, black people can dance, white people can't type deal. Jews are just good with money, right? They're not, is to kind of like make it as kind of a dumbed down point. In obviously the more extreme sects of Judaism, right, or what I would call the Pharisee area, that would kind of be kind of a completely different ballgame, right? But just in the culture itself, it's always been ingrained to not necessarily be cheap, but be smart with it, right? Don't spend your money on BS. So much so to the point that even the secular Jews, at least when I lived there years ago, right, teenagers and such would shame each other for making what we consider dumb purchases. Right. So just not so much being cheap, but just being smart with your money, understanding that it has an inherent value, right, so to speak, or to treat it as such. It's just the same way Asian families would generally push their children to study harder, right? It's ingrained in their culture to take pride in it and work hard at it. It's just kind of something that comes with the area from my experience.
Okay, so that makes sense. But again, it can't only be that issue. Like, there has to be either malpractice, exertion of power. I mean, like, people can't.
Absolute power corrupts absolutely, right?
Okay. So, now somewhere.
Okay. So if we look at it like warring factions, right? At some point, someone from each team got a whole bunch of something. And for whatever reason, Jews landed on money, right? And different groups landed on different aspects, right? The Pope landed on the church, right, and religion, and now these are their tools that they use. If you are a warring faction, right, and your goals are carried on in a generational style, right? You don't have 1 year, 5 year, and 10-year plans. You have 100 and 1,000-year plans, right? You're always going to be fighting, and you're always going to be using whatever weapons you have available, right? In my opinion, that has kind of been the one they've commandeered. And I would not be surprised if they've done that through whatever means necessary.
Interesting.
So the malpractice in that as well, because they can't be angry for no reason at specific points. There maybe have been sleight of hands, those types of things, or
100%.
gotcha.
Well, not would not even question that.
Well, that's the thing to me, and I look at it as like the behavior in Israel. Even if I don't agree with it, it does make sense. You go, yeah, we're doing the Greater Israel Project, we're doing whatever, we're taking this land. It's like you say, like we're in a conflict, we're fighting. They don't like us, we don't like them. We're gonna win. In America, it seems like we can't get out of this region. Like we've been in this region for longer than I've been alive, much longer than I've been alive, actually.
Yes.
And the American-Israeli alliance, the partnership, the greatest allyship between the two countries, the attitude in America is shifting. And the attitude in America is shifting because of the debt, because of the war, because of the death, ultimately, and just all of it together. How much longer? Because like we're sitting here right now in kind of this beginning of the 21st century era, right? But things are rapidly changing. We see automated warfare. We see these proxy wars spilling out and becoming regional conflicts. We see economic turmoil everywhere, right? How much longer does this current system with America, petrodollar, all of it, and Israel kind of in that partnership controlling the Levant, which is really what they're trying to do and what they've been doing, how much longer does that have on the shelf life, do you think?
I would say it depends on how much longer certain countries have extreme dirt on other countries' heads of state and individuals.
True.
Right? Is as long as they're warring factions, they're always trying to get the upper hand. At one point, one person will have the upper hand, then at another point, the other person will. It's a fight, right? They're just basically trying to fight behind closed doors, but make no mistake, it's a fight in a phone booth.
Yeah, and I've said this too. Like I think Israel has a dark part to it, 100%. I think they
no question.
I think pulled us into conflicts. They've been doing spying on us. They've been doing a lot of things. They've been kind of moving things behind the scenes. But then I'm like, Saudi Arabia is just as complicit in these Gulf states at the same time. They have a darkness to them. And then I look at Iran and I'm like, Iran ain't like the golden poster child, like, you know, or Iraq. Like we can go and look at what these groups do to each other individually. And so it's kind of like that whole, you know, this whole power system. And you know, what do you think would it take to have peace in the Middle East, or do you just think it's just not going to happen?
Dream, maybe.
Yeah, I would say depending on how much you buy into Christianity and the Bible, right, and stories of the end times, I don't think we really have a shot at it. I think there will be certain times where greed may overcome their desire for violence or hatred. To where if both can win for certain periods of time, it may be a lull, right? They can get them to stop and hang out for a minute. But at the end of the day, it is still a fight for dominance. We've gotten very used to and comfortable with this idea of where, like I said in the beginning, kind of the world police, and this is the world stage, and these are the developed teams, right? And we have to respect everyone's borders and boundaries. But at the end of the day, it is still the same game of survival that we've been playing on a micro level for hundreds or thousands of years, right? All the way up to now on macro level. We are still going to be fighting over resources. We are still going to be fighting over land. We are still going to be fighting over all these things. And it's very easy for us to sit here in our country and say, well, this person is wrong or that person is wrong. But at the end of the day, if both of them could wipe us off the face of the map and take over everything, they probably would.
You're saying if both who? What?
If Israel could do
Israel and any other country.
Yeah.
And because we all have a natural need or desire to propagate ourselves, right?
Yeah.
And for conquest and take over and to spread, be fruitful, keep going. So I it's very easy. Oh, they're our friends, or we're allies, or we're not supposed to be doing this. But I think it's kind of all smoke and mirrors. When it comes down to it, we're just all trying to vibe and fight for the upper hand.
Okay. That makes perfect sense. And one of the last questions I have for you is like, what do you feel like is a misunderstanding in terms of what people have? And now you're bringing a different perspective of Jewish people and Israel and those types of things. If there's something that Americans could understand a little bit better, and we've talked about a lot of things, but what's something that you feel like we're getting wrong here in America that would shed a little bit light and get people to look at this a little different?
I would say the biggest thing that I see, right, that could kind of help people start to sort things out on themselves is if I walked around and used my knowledge on issues with pedophilia in the Catholic Church, right, as a portrait or a framework for Christianity. Does that make sense?
Sort of extrapolate that.
So I would say was what has happened in the past with the Catholic Church and different issues with children, and you understand what I'm saying? That is a dark, extreme area, right, of organized Christianity. But I would not say it represents Christianity as a whole.
Okay, makes sense.
Right? Makes sense?
So something we talk about here on the show a lot is like we agree with your perspective on like these conflicts are going to rage and like this kind of is human nature and these things are inevitably going to happen to some extent. But we demand peace on this show. Like we're really big on that, no matter how unrealistic it may be. And we hear this a lot that it is unrealistic from people. And the common excuse for what America does around the globe is we didn't do it, somebody else would do it. We got to be in charge. And I can understand that from just like a base animalistic level. But ultimately, from a moral level, from an idealistic level, I think it's our responsibility really in the West here in America to propagate the values we claim to have, like the land of the free, the home of the brave, not killing people for no reason. And it seems like we have all this military.
Quick question. What's a good reason?
What's a good reason to go to war?
To kill people. You said don't kill people without a good reason. What's a good reason?
Sure, that's a good question. I mean, if you're threatened would be a good example. Which
what
over seventh example, but like if you're threatened, if you have to respond to defend yourself.
Okay, I would say you can make a very strong argument that they've been getting threatened for a while.
Sure, but you could say the same for the people in Palestine.
Correct.
Like
Correct.
And you talk about, and then that is the
it's
issue.
That negative feedback loop that we're talking about.
I'll make another point here. So like they don't admit to it. They're not signatory to the NPT, the Non-Proliferation Treaty. Like I've heard Jonathan Pollard talk about it and others talk about it. Like Israel does have nuclear weapons, and people often
I would be shocked if they didn't.
Yeah, it's
I'm saying that with zero authority, but I was shocked if they didn't.
Sure. So people oftentimes like we want the state gone. We don't want it to exist. Blah blah blah. That's not going to happen because like if you're ever truly threatened, then they'd use nuclear weapons just like we would. So we have to find some sort of peaceful solution in here where we address these really major grievances, because very easily America could be turned into something very, very bad for Israel if the kind of leading around by the nose continues. And I really get that vibe here, and that's something no one really wants.
Yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly. I think that a select group of elites on both sides are kind of pulling the strings on everything. And unless we, on both ends of it, start to band together and try and take back control of our own countries and dictate and decide what direction they're heading in, we're just going to keep going round and round.
Well, and so just to clarify, and I don't want to speak for all Israelis, but like the average Israeli, I don't think they like truly hate, the average Muslim to the extent that like this person is a personal issue. Maybe I'm incorrect on that, but like
not at all.
Nothing wrong with a Russian at the end of the
day. Yeah, it's common for us to have conversations over there with Muslims that speak about, it'd be kind of like a Christian talking to somebody who's homosexual or gay and saying, you get what I'm saying? That's an extreme version of it. We're not going to have an issue with you type deal. It's kind of the same concept, right? There's extremists on both ends. And normally the people that scream the loudest are the ones that get heard the most, right?
That's what
But
social media is doing.
That's a pretty good metaphor.
And that is what
Yeah.
social media is doing. It's giving the extremists
Correct.
a louder microphone, and it makes all of the rest of us feel like, okay, this is awful. And it allows you to just have to pick a side at the end of the day.
Correct. And I think if we're not careful, it's gonna roll us all up and throw us out the window, right? Where we're all gonna be cooked if we don't get back to. I think, how did I put it? When they founded, the founding fathers on this country used to all get in a room together and argue over their convictions to the point where sometimes they'd hit each other with canes, right? And I think we need to get back to the point where we have a bunch of really good men who, despite the fact that they may disagree with how to get there, are all willing to stand 10 toes deep on their convictions and to fight for them. Because now, otherwise, all you're hearing is whoever screams the loudest.
You know where the lack of that comes from? We talk about this a lot on the show. They're all ancient. They're all 60, 70, 80 years old. They have 10 to 20 or maybe even 5 years on the planet left. So they literally do not care.
You're right.
They don't care about the future of the planet, anything.
And BB is hardwired in just like Trump is hardwired in that era of thinking.
Literally political robots.
Yeah.
Of course. You don't get that high anywhere without having a string attached.
Sure.
It just doesn't happen. And I think for anyone to presume otherwise is hysterical.
That's a good point. And the last thing I would say is like, you know, we just have social media, we have screens now to see everything, but humans are very habitual.
Yeah.
If you go back thousands of years, it used to be, now instead of like it being a political thing, it used to be more of like a religious aspect. That was kind of the power dynamics and things like that. Society has kind of moved away from the religious aspects a little bit. You know, there's still, but religious, secular, right? Yeah. So it's like, for me, you know, I might get flack for this, but I don't care. Like, I think religion is the best and worst thing to happen to humanity, and those things can exist in the same space. Right. And the reason why I say that is because there's something about spirituality, whatever you practice, where it makes you feel like you are attached to something and you have a purpose. That was the original reason for why spirituality or religion
or for the universe.
It's reason, because humans need a purpose. People need something to believe in order to continue to.
We need a mission.
But then you had bad actors come along, and they saw through an ability to use it as a control mechanism. And we have plenty of examples of the Christians doing this over time and doing these crusades and the colonialism. You have examples of Muslims doing the same exact thing and those crusades going on. And no matter which religion you look at, there was these bad actors that insert their own little messages in between, and it distilled down over the generations to where you don't even know what the true conversation that was had at that point. Do you understand that, like, today, if I were to just like take all the phones, all the information, and just play the game of telephone, and I said people should be worshiping like cow manure or something like that, that could make its way thousands of years, and we're taking the assumption that humans weren't flawed back then, that they were just these.
But Prophet Tim said it,
like these, like
people
these
believed it.
Like these people were like actually holier, when the brain actually has not developed significantly over time from that time period. So they have to have the same insecurities and issues that we had, and we take it as like, okay, well, they were just holy. That's the rule. That's the law. That's what they said.
I gotta say, like, I can't from a religious perspective agree with it. Like, I wouldn't consider Abraham to be a schizophrenic, but that example you gave, that was real funny, man. That was
when you really cut it down, right? That's kind of where we're at, but it just goes to show how strong our biological hardwiring is, right? Biology does not conform to social norms. It does. You can say you want it to. It should. You can argue why. You do whatever you want, but at the end of the day, we are still wired to do what we're gonna do.
And we pretend to know a lot more than we do about our condition.
100%.
Facts.
Yeah.
You know, the average person, just in whatever religion they practice, they're not spending hours a day actually reading every single thing. It's a lot
of course not.
Active recall is what
the first half of our life is spent telling people not to tell us what to do, and the second half of our life is spent begging people to tell us what to do, right? And religion, I think, offers that in a positive way to a lot of people. Like I believe the best societies in the world, and the best being the most successful, have all been built off Judeo-Christian values.
Mm.
Right? That you can't really, if you look at it and judge the best based off success rate, that's kind of what's happened. There's a reason for that, right? But it goes back to the whole big question of why and the balance in the universe. They're warring factions. Why couldn't they have just made everyone good? But it's the way it is.
I'll push back just a little bit. I think everything comes down to perspective. You know, that'll be somebody halfway across the world that didn't grow up in America or around these religions that we kind of practice.
Imagine what someone in Laos thinks of all this.
That's exactly you forget. Like Asia's got billions of people, and they look at Muslims and they look at Christians
of the world,
and they're like, we see all this stuff happening. You've got Hindus, for example, like you've got a bunch
subcontinent of 1.5 billion people,
right? So then it comes down to perspective. So I just think at the end of the day, all the religions kind of overlap in certain things, and whatever you believe in or whatever you practice, whatever you practice, the whole thing should be like just the aspect of not screwing over your neighbor, or like the
don't fuck your neighbor's wife, don't kill him after, and right, and take care of your kids. That's kind of
the 10 Commandments and then Golden Rule and things like that. For sure.
And it has real world results, right? That's why I do my best personally to follow those, because when I look at other people that have come before me, if you live that way, right, and practice those as best you can, more often than not, you will get better results.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, that was fantastic.
Great interview.
Great interview.
Thank you guys.
Get you coming on the show.
Come back.
Yeah, dude, you definitely got to come back. These are
conversations
that we like to have. This just about having different opinions come all together in the same room, and it doesn't have to be a shouting match or like I hate you or something like that.
No.
Conversation at the end of it.
Very nuanced.
Yeah, but I think we need to get back to the place where good men are not afraid to hurt each other's feelings, and you know what I mean, talk about hard topics and all stand on what we believe in. And I think that this show is a great step in that direction. So we appreciate what y'all are doing.
Thank you, man. Really appreciate having you on.
Well, absolutely. Thank you guys.
You on the next one, okay?
Absolutely. Have a great evening.
All right, peace.
Another phenomenal interview in the books. We always get the best guests. We haven't had a single bad one in the history of the show.
I agree with that. That is an accurate statement. Very interesting. Honestly, these are conversations I live for, man. Like I wish more shows, more people would have these conversations.
Sure.
You know, there's certain platforms that just the mere fact that he was Jewish or Israeli or whatever would not have even given him a platform. There are other ones that, like, we had Suleiman on, and like there are people who are like, I absolutely not. You think Ben Shapiro would have Suleiman on?
Sure. Well, here's my perspective, and this is something maybe we'll ask him the next time he comes on the show, because he's definitely a good speaker and we want to have him back. So I have been having a harder and harder time watching the pro-war people in America simp for this conflict and like beg for it and want the blood and want the ground troops and want the deployments and want it to last forever. I see it on X everywhere. And I previously or prior to this, I had the same reaction seeing the Israelis that supported the conflict and wanted it to continue by any means necessary, and the carpet bombing and all of it. So looking at what we're doing now, also begging for the war, also interested in that. I know that that's, even though if it is a large portion of the population, even if it's half or something, I know there's also a portion of the population that hates that, right? So what we see necessarily reflected isn't exactly the situation on the ground. And I abhor the situation in Gaza. I'm vehemently against it. I talk about it all the time. It's not fair to 9 million people to say that they're all involved in something. Right.
100%.
I don't think that's fair.
I say that all the time, even as a African American, you know, like I know there's a decent part of the population, which is the minority, that sure, commit crimes, right? And they rob and they do things that are not within the law. But then I also look at the vast majority of Black people aren't actually doing that. And then I have to deal with the criticism of what that bad portion is doing for the entire brand, people in general.
Oh, we got a super
She
chat.
got a super chat.
But what makes you different, Tim, and what makes us different just as a show is that we're able to recognize that, hey, like these are just facts on the ground. Like it doesn't necessarily have to be something that we're upset about. It's just like, well, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Thank you, Stank Jesus.
Just dropping a little support for the algorithm. Stay solid, y'all.
Thank you. Appreciate it. We had one more super chat. Let me go pull this up real quick.
Okay, will you go back to the doc because we got good clips tonight. We're gonna go a little bit longer. I do want to get through everything. We're gonna talk.
Yeah,
about
we're not done tonight, guys. Here we go. Is this readable?
Yeah, sure, it's readable. It is cool that he investigates PDF file stuff in the church. I investigate PDF file stuff of Jews also. It is good we cover each other. All right, thank you for your opinion, Cosmic Stream.
Okay.
Thank you for your opinion. But let's get back to the Google Doc here.
Yeah, I'll pull that
Go
up.
ahead and pull
In
it
the
up.
meantime, guys, if you guys are watching on X, if you guys can go ahead and repost the stream, that would really help.
We will love you.
We will love you.
Repost
That
it.
helps with the algorithm. That helps get this out to other people. The engagement is phenomenal tonight as well. We appreciate it. So
I want to go to
let's
Angry
go.
Pete. Can we go to Angry Pete Hegseth crashing out over being questioned on the war? And this is a growing thing where the American politicians. Here's the thing. I hated Biden's DOJ, the investigation of parents, Catholics, all of it, absolutely disgusting. Trump is gearing up to do the same exact stuff because you are not allowed to question the peace president's war. Now, ain't that
Whoa.
the peace president, hail the peace
Hold
president.
on.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Oh, Lemon character and baby Lemon twirling around in the air, hugging. I think that was a super sticker attempt. Thank
Dude,
you so much,
thank
man.
you.
Really
Kent,
appreciate that. Keep the
big
lights on in the studio.
baller, man.
Thank you very much.
That's
for the
going
super
right
chat.
back into the show. We appreciate any support. Yeah, I mean, we are monetized on YouTube now, and that is because of you guys.
3,000 watch hours. Thanks to you, loyal
Thank you,
viewers
guys.
and listeners.
Yeah, honestly, you guys are catching us on the boots on the ground. So, like anything you guys are doing for support, we genuinely appreciate that, and I don't think you guys quite understand.
We're building a system here. We're building the media platform. Marquee show Thursday and Sunday. Me and Tim are here. I'm here every day doing a daily show. We always want y'all to have a home. We really appreciate y'all being here with us.
Yes,
Really
we do.
Let's roll a Pete Hegseth clip. Let's get into it. Angry Pete cannot be questioned.
Because you, and I mean specifically you, the press, specifically you, the press corps, because you cheer against Trump so hard. It's like in your DNA and in your blood to cheer against Trump. Because you want him not to be successful so bad, you have to cheer against the efficacy of these strikes. You have to hope maybe they weren't effective. Maybe the way the Trump administration has represented them isn't true. So let's take half-truths, spun information, leaked information, and then spin it in every way we can to try to cause doubt and manipulate the public mind over whether or not our brave pilots.
Okay, so
He's a yes man.
hold on. We were told 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so we're allowed to question this. All right, it's now over 2 weeks that this war has been going on. Wait, it wasn't a war at first, but now it's admittedly a war.
Oh, he said it explicitly now,
Yeah,
right?
well, I mean, they've all said it like 20 times. They've also said it's not a war, so they keep. We got another one.
Wow, dude. People
Thank you,
are
guys.
just fantastic tonight. Let's go ahead and read this. Okay, we got a $5 super chat.
Next time he's on, ask if he supports one state with equal rights. We will ask him that question next time he's on.
That is a good.
Thank Another
Whoa,
one.
guys.
Here, we can't get excited. We gotta.
Guys.
Oh wow. Okay, we can't get excited. Outstanding
Wow.
show. Thank you for the 40.
Thank you for the
man.
40. We appreciate that.
That's really incredible.
Thank you,
so
guys.
much. You have no idea how much that supports the show. Thank you so much. But this thing, like here's the thing. We're allowed to not like this, okay? And you're allowed to be questioned on it when you've on the record lied. And the entire administration has lied about how long this would go on. They would be able to achieve our objectives. Ultimately, the reason why he's frustrated up there, the reason why it looks like a scene out of The Office. Like you can he's angry, upset, and sweating. And we've watched all prior American administrations. Even if the people are incompetent, they don't behave this way. They're not crashing out. And you, the media, doing all of this, painting half-truths.
that sensationalization. Thank you, Marshall. We appreciate it. Another $2
Thank you
super
for the
chat
$2.
from Marshall. Thank you, man.
Really appreciate it. You know what? Let's just go ahead. Let's get the videos, the Iranian videos up. We scroll up really quick.
Yeah.
Let's hear from the Iranian, or we scroll. Yeah. Let's hear from the Iranian military, the state TV, what they're saying to the West. Let's go ahead and roll these clips in order. Trump dared by Iran to sail through Persian Gulf.
Okay, so let me read some of these chats.
No, you're
someone
good.
asked us
The
to
super
have
chats threw us off guard. Dude.
Someone asked us to have Tucker on. You know, we're not quite there yet.
Yeah,
you know,
we respect the mindset of that, but it's going to take.
We appreciate your enthusiasm, but we you know what? We are capable of having that in the future, though. I'm not even going to lie.
Yeah,
I think the show is on the up and up.
This 3-year-old baby runs good. We're going to put him in the NFL. Like, we're going to.
No, but dude, honestly, for where we're at, we've had some pretty phenomenal and big guests on.
No, absolutely. The thing I'm most proud about of the show is the constant quality of the show. But let's go ahead and roll the.
Go ahead and roll that.
بعد این آقایی که ادعا میکنه که من اشراف بر منطقه دارم اشراف.
Yeah, rewind it.
Will you rewind it and start from the beginning? I'll read it. All right, this is Iranian State TV. After this gentleman who claims that he has control over the region, control over the sea, and that he has destroyed the Navy, if he dares, let his ships come close to this area. When you see that every day, vessels with different flags present in the region, but the ownership belongs to America or the Zionist regime, all of them have been targeted. They claimed that if war breaks out, they will control the Strait of Hormuz, escort the vessels, ensure the security of the region, the security of energy in the region, and the security of oil. Where are they now? Where are their vessels? Where are their warships? Their warships are 300 to 400 miles away at the end of the Sea of Oman, with the attacks of cruise missiles by the naval forces. They immediately retreated after their attack by the Islamic Republic of Iran. They likely suffered significant damage, went for an overhaul, and distanced themselves from the battlefield. Their operational mission was taken away from them. Okay, we're good.
Okay, so let's unpack this a little bit.
Well, I want to get into this a little bit from this perspective. So the Iranians have claimed like crazy numbers, like they say like 500 American casualties. We don't know that that's true. We don't think that that's true.
No shot.
The Americans have claimed, well, casualty doesn't necessarily mean KIA.
Whoa.
It means hurt.
Whoa.
Oh, dude. Thank you so much.
Coop, Honey Badger, man.
Thank you so much, bro.
Dude, we appreciate that.
Great
we got
show.
the biggest super chat we have had onto the show up till date.
Ever.
Great show as per usual. Get your dad in the gray area, Rex.
It's hard to line up. I've tried, we've been on the show with him before. We've done that kind of.
We have. And he also said we're going to be doing another show at some point with him again.
We're working on it. Really appreciate that. The support means the world to us. And like, we're here for you guys. Really appreciate it. You've been here since the start.
Yes.
So shout out to Honey Badger. Shout out to Coop for the
super loyal guy. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Really, really amazing. But the thing that has been happening has been the Americans are claiming that somewhere around under 200 soldiers have been injured. And then I think the number killed is up to like 12 or it's in the teens now, right?
Yeah.
The Iranians have said, no, we've hit their ships. We've caused them massive casualties at their bases, 500 casualties. Interestingly enough, I was listening to Larry Johnson, the ex-CIA guy, analyst earlier today. He says that there's a hospital in Germany that's primary responsibility is to handle like casualties, like people coming in to get like serious treatment. And the claim that Larry Johnson makes is that they're also like their other primary mission is to do like maternity services for like people giving birth. They've canceled that. And like the vans and the trucks are coming.
Wait. Rewind, because I kind of got lost in the sauce. You said like what was canceled again?
The maternity services, like pregnancy care.
Okay, so why was that like canceled? And
because they need the beds for their primary objective, which is to take care of the wounded soldiers.
And this is in what region?
This is in Germany.
In Germany.
This is in Germany. So this is where they fly injured people out to.
Yeah, but would that amount to? Are the Europeans even really involved in this though?
Absolutely. Well, as our stationing grounds for the conflict, right? So they're going to be involved in the medical care of American soldiers that are hurt.
But why would they go all the way to Germany? Like, I would feel like you would get care
I'm
in
not
one
sure.
of the
I'm not
Gulf
sure
states.
how. I'm not sure how it works.
And so that's, I mean, again,
It's
there
fact.
could, it is.
Yeah, it is fact.
Okay.
I'm not spewing BS here.
Okay, so I believe you on that. It just doesn't make sense why they would be flying them all the way out to Germany when you've got plenty of regions, and maybe it's because it's safer. I don't know. But when I look at the video and what he's talking about, it speaks two things to me. The first one is I take everything with a grain of salt that comes out of the U.S. media as well as the Iranian media.
Sure.
I mean, you got to understand these people have propaganda. They're basically designed to make their side feel like they're winning more than they're actually winning. I think everybody understands that. The second is the United States. Now we're seeing what they've asked, like, who wants to come help us fight Iran and escorts the ships?
Think about who wants to sail into the strait. All right, we got more super chats. $2 from Marshall. Dude, thank you so much, Marshall. Really appreciate it. But like America's like, who wants to sail into the strait with us? Who wants to get their boats blown up? And Trump has made the claim repeatedly. Trump has made the claim that we've defeated them, that the strait is now safe, blah, blah, blah. And then every day after he says that, they hit another tanker.
Wave your hand, say if you want to help the Americans protect all the oil. You know, we went out there and we bombed everything, but we know we could still use your help. We know we screwed you, but you know.
Well, there's no way. Like the coastline is so big, it's so huge, it's so expansive, and it's covered in mountainous regions and caves. There's no way for you to destroy all the smaller boats, all the suicide squads that these people have.
Also, just think about the cost, right? Those besides the nuclear powered ones, right? You've got a lot of vessels that still use a lot of resources just to power them. You've got to have food.
Sure.
They've got to go back to refuel, feed people, those types of things. You can't keep doing this forever. There's no possible way to be escorting every single possible ship and protect them at the same time.
And to speak to that a little bit, I think before the conflict, the Abraham Lincoln broke the record for the longest it's ever been deployed. They've been out there for like a year.
You're talking about
the aircraft carriers.
Yeah.
So our Navy, our people that are involved in the region that are supposed to be running these operations, it's like the worst conditions for morale that you could imagine. And on one side, you have American soldiers, American sailors that have been dragged into this conflict. And on the other side, you have the Iranians who have had their pope killed and they're ready to die. It just seems like a bad call. And
this is what happened in Vietnam, right? Because the North Vietnamese, they were like, you guys have come in on our soil. You guys are foreign outsiders. We will fight you forever. And then that's why the Vietnam War started to deteriorate towards the end. They actually started sending their commanders and trying to kill their commanders in combat because the morale was so bad, and they knew that why are we here in the first place? Not saying that would happen today, but morale is a very big thing when it comes to these conflicts. And you're right.
I see Ranger in there commenting. You know, me and Ranger have had a couple different beefs online. You know?
Have you?
I mean, he really likes my dad. I really like my dad too. And when the Owen thing happened, he was like, "Don't go against your father." And I was like, "Well, you know what, man? I've been working since I was 8. You know, it's a little bit different, but I understand his perspective. I may message you. We may want to get you on the show. If you truly are a Ranger, if you truly are Special Forces, we want to talk to you because these are the people alongside the Marines that if they do a ground invasion or whatever they're going to do, they're going to be on the ground. Right. So I think about it from the perspective of if you're Donald Trump and you're sitting in the Oval Office and they're kind of dangling all these shiny keys in front of you, use these missiles. Ooh, doesn't that make you excited? Ooh, you can use these.
Well, you like that.
I think it's Trump. He likes to go all in. He likes golden toilets. I think he will eventually go boots on the ground. I think it's going to be Special Forces people.
Jesse Waters is going to eat that up.
Yeah. I think they're going to get chewed up by the Iranians on the coastline. I'm really worried about our boys.
I agree. Oh, we got Rupert in the building. You can kind of see his head there. I think dog cam is activated, but he does not care.
Yeah, I'll follow you back, Ranger. I owe you that. Thanks for watching the show. I always see you in here. I spent 2002, 2010 in Iraq and Afghanistan.
Ooh, that's actually pretty serious. Yeah, we'd actually be interested. Hit Rex up after the show. We'll probably have you come on like Thursday or something like that and get your experience.
Sure. Let's go to the Iran ceasefire statement. Let's do a little demands. Let's see what they're asking for. This is a good one.
This is a video?
Yeah, it's a video. They're all videos. And he's doing American media. He's doing CBS.
Mario?
No, the Iranian.
President Trump said this weekend he is not ready to make a deal with Iran because the terms aren't good enough yet. His administration is saying this war could last another 3.5 weeks or so. Has Iran asked for a ceasefire?
No, we never asked for a ceasefire, and we have never asked even for negotiation. We are ready to defend ourselves as long as it takes, and this is what we have done so far, and we continue to do that until President Trump comes to the point that this is an illegal war with no victory, and there are people being killed only because President Trump wants to have fun. This is what he has said.
Have fun?
We are not. Yes, this is what he said, that they are sinking, ships and targeting different places because it is fun. And the Secretary of War has said that there is no mercy.
Mm-hmm.
And this is actually a war crime. Even saying that is a war crime. So this is a war. This is a war of choice by President Trump and the United States, and we are going to continue our self-defense.
Okay, and to cut back to us. See, this is the thing. This is a cardinal principle of war that people have to understand. All right. The greatest war crime of all, and this was said at Nuremberg by the lead prosecutor, I forget what his name was, the head judge there, I forget.
Mm-hmm.
The war of aggression is the greatest war crime of all because all other subsequent war crimes are contained within the war of illegal aggression. And like, this is a war of choice. Like the strikes were launched initially by us. Okay. So Pete Hegseth coming out there and saying that, quote unquote, there is no mercy. You're not allowed to do that. But like you're supposed, the goal of the conflict is ultimately to reach a deal.
It is. That is
broker an arrangement.
Wes, I added a video clip of Bibi at the very top. Can you get that ready? Because that's also something that we want to talk about. But yes, I agree with what you're talking about, 100%. It's just very interesting to see all this stuff play out. But the war crimes, T-Blay is right. You were about to actually, maybe we just have telepathic, a connection here.
The Shining.
Yes. I was just about to say war crimes don't really matter anymore. Like you see like Ukraine and Russia, and they had that whole thing of the cluster bombs being used, and that was a war crime and people killing. Like, it's like there's no enforcement. That's the problem.
Well, how did we get to enforcement the first time? Well, we had World War II. And World War II made a lot of people reconsider the way that things were done, even World War I with the chemical weapons and all of that. My point saying what I said is like we're reaching a time where like 20, 30 years or even 10 years in the future, we're going to see a new international framework put together.
I agree.
And China 100%. And Russia are going to be a part of that. And the U.S. is going to be at a point where it can't resist that anymore.
Yeah, because there's no reason for it to not form, right? Because at the end of the day, we kind of are in a different period. Because if you think about it back then, the global world wasn't as connected as it is today. So now you're seeing like, okay, anything you do actually has a ripple effect that affects every single country. And people don't want, like, here's the thing. There are European countries who have never been in conflict. There are countries in South America. There are countries in Asia that have never done anything and are still subjected to whatever backlash or whatever fallout that comes from these conflicts. So there's no choice but for there to be cooperation so that these things don't happen. And it's the same thing when I think about like recessions in the United States being like we affect the rest of the world with our decisions and we don't care at the end of the day. And that's the problem as well.
Well, that's the decline of the empire is not caring. Right. Like that's how we've gotten to the position. I mean, think about how blessed we were after World War II to have everything we had. We just threw it away.
We did just throw it away. And that was honestly, I think that was the peak of America. I always say the 50s and 60s. That was like when America was at, the top of the world and we had the ability to define what the rest of society looked like.
You had a lot of what China has today. You have an incredibly large workforce of highly skilled technicians, artisans, adepts, whatever you want to call them, that went to war and came back, and their interest was in preserving an era of peace, right? And their children, the boomers who saw Vietnam and saw the Greatest Generation back that, they completely rejected their parents' model of like security and safety. They said, it's all good, man. We're going to hang out. But in that, they relinquished control of their government. They stopped caring about their government, whereas the prior generations, they cared more about their governmental system.
Well, I'm curious about what you think about generations, because we've talked about the difference between this new generation like yourself and I. And obviously, we are going to be teaching our kids something different.
Sure.
At the end of the day, and I'm sure a lot of other people are going to be doing the same. But let's think about it in terms of I'm thinking of the guy who's like the evil guy at the top who controls things behind the scenes.
Wizard of Oz? I don't
know. Is he part of BlackRock? Does he control?
Okay.
Larry Fink. Yeah, Larry Fink. Like his son is stepping into place, and I think he's going to carry on a lot of the policies.
Look at George Soros, Alex Soros.
That's what I meant to say. Yes, Soros. That's who I was thinking of. I don't know why I was blanking out on it. Like Soros has already like brainwashed his next generation into continuing the family legacy. And so I'm like wondering if the people in power have already indoctrinated the next generation, and those people are the ones, or if there's room for people who are trying to push another narrative to squeeze in there and carve out some space.
I think there's going to be room for more new ideas, better ideas really soon. I really do think that older population, it's like you have water in a cup and then you have ice over it. You can't drink the water in the cup because the ice is over it. But over time, the ice will melt and melt and melt, and eventually the water will become accessible. I think there's a large political will for change in this country, really in the world. People want peace. And like everywhere, people want peace. We don't care what the governments or the most radical factions want. Like people generally don't like conflict. Yeah. But we're reaching a point where we still have this vestige of those people that are used to being in such a protected system like the boomers were, where America truly was isolated and truly was the king, and you truly didn't mess with the United States. They still act like, we're living 50 years in the past. And that doesn't work for people around the world.
And that's exactly why Trump is leading with these policies.
He's the boomer's last gasp, as Owen says. Yes. I think that's a very...
BB, I'll throw him in the same bucket too. Yeah.
It's the same exact thing. And it's when we reach a point where there aren't people alive anymore that were around during World War II, and I don't want that to happen, right? Because I got grandparents that I love. But for society and stuff, like when that happens, you're just going to see kind of a shift overnight where like the voting, like they don't have the impact anymore.
Well, and you're right. And I think like I've actually answered my own question in my head is like over time, nature almost corrects itself. Naturally. It's the same reason why like you and I are sitting in the same room right now.
Sure.
Is because that idea has kind of lost steam over time. Sure. And the same thing with a lot of these other concepts. But I want to talk about BB here because people are claiming he's dead, alive. People are like, oh, it's AI.
Six-finger baby.
So I can't wrap my head around this. Can you pull this video up of him at the coffee shop? Like the angle of the coffee or something like that.
Hold on. I'm sorry. It's like a campfire story. Have you ever heard of Six-Finger Netanyahu? He comes out at night.
Is that why I'm seeing this hand gesture a lot?
I don't know. So here's the thing. This is a video that he put out. I believe this came out today it came out today, where people are saying it's still fake because of the coffee. That's foam. That the foam doesn't spill, right? Like we've all gotten coffee.
Yeah.
Right? Like we'll go ahead and watch it.
This is from
מה שאלת אותי?
חושב שלא אומרים ברשת שאתה בכלל מת?
אני מת על קפה, אתה יודע מה? אני מת על העם שלי. איך הם מתנהגים, פנטסטי. אתה רוצה לספור את מספר אצבעות?
אתה יכול להראות לנו?
פה. ראית?
יפה מאוד.
לחיים.
אתה חושב של המסר לאנשים שיוצאים ומתאווררים?
לצאת להתאוורר, אבל ליד מרחב מוגן. והעמידה שלכם היא מדהימה, נותנת כוח לי, לממשלה, לצה"ל, למוסד. אנחנו עושים דברים שאני לא יכול לשתף ברגע זה, אבל עושים דברים מכים באיראן חזק מאוד, גם ביום הזה, גם בלבנון, ממשיכים. אתם אומרים לי להמשיך? אני אומר לכולכם, גם אתם תמשיכו. תמשיכו להישמע להוראות פיקוד העורף, כל הזמן, להישמע להוראות פיקוד העורף, וגם לראשי הערים, להיות תמיד ליד מרחב מוגן.
Okay, can you rewind? I want you to mute it so we can actually read it, because I actually, when the first video came out, had no idea what he was talking about. So, and I'm sure some people are driving. Just go back to the beginning where he's talking about.
Read it?
Yeah, go ahead and read that. So whoever's listening.
Thanks. What do you ask me? There are rumors online that you are dead. Uh-oh. I die for coffee. You know that I die for my people. How they behave, fantastic. Do you want to count my fingers? Can you show us? And he shows the paw, other paw. There you go. Very beautiful. L'chaim. A message to people who go out and to relax. You can go out and relax, but near a protected area. And your standing is amazing. It gives you the power, and to the government, to the IDF, to the Mossad. We do stuff I can't share. No shit. I can't share at this moment. We are doing things, hitting Iran very hard, even on this day. Also in Lebanon, we continue. You guys tell me to keep going. I'm telling you all, you too, keep going. Continue to listen to Homefront Command instructions. Personally, to follow the Homefront Command's instructions, and to the mayor of cities to always be near a protected area. We will ease up as the things allow. And thank you. The coffee is excellent. I don't know about the calories. It looks very dangerous to me.
Pause it.
See, he's funny like Trump. You're making jokes.
And that's your dad just talking about it, I'm guessing.
Okay.
Okay. Interesting. So what was the video that happened before that people think was AI?
It's so hard to find. You can find it online.
Okay, I'm going to search for it while you guys,
just look up BB AI or Netanyahu AI. Maybe you'll find it. I don't know. I think he's alive.
Yeah, I'm like, what would have happened, and that the Iranians are so good that they could have assassinated
well, the
him,
thing
to
is,
be honest.
the thing is like he's under like 5 stories of concrete. Like he's in a bunker somewhere. Like 99% of the time, like they pop him out of the bunker to shoot this video, and they throw him back in the bunker. But it was this thing as to where like it's Schrodinger's dictator. Like, who is alive? Is Netanyahu alive? Is the Ayatollah alive? They still haven't produced any proof of life for the Ayatollah. And like, I do believe that America probably hit the second guy. Probably hit the new Khamenei, the son of Khamenei.
Where is the extra finger here? Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can see it.
Where's the sixth? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, no, you're right.
Here, Wes, I'm gonna put this in there. This is why I don't understand the internet sometimes, because I'm counting. You guys maybe tell me if I'm wrong here, because I'm seeing 6 fingers here, and
I think people are just fantasizing about Netanyahu.
I know, but here's the thing: they would take the highest priority to protect him, and also they don't.
If he got killed, they would nuke him. Like seriously, like that's very basic.
Go ahead and put that picture up there real quick, Wes. I think it's like propaganda, or just people just feeling the need to.
We got zoom ins of Netanyahu going in.
Like, tell me if you're seeing 6 fingers.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Wait.
Uh-oh.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, this looks like a.
Okay, get that one.
Okay,
up. We got to get this one up.
All right, this is again. This is all speculation. This is all not confirmed. This one looks like 6 fingers though. And honestly, I don't even know if there's like fake accounts out there putting out like fake hands and stuff.
Can't both be true? Can he still be alive and they use AI as well? Like,
okay, Steven, if you have a link,
we're pulling it up.
If you have a link or something like that, or send it to me on X or something. Tell me where. Somebody find me the 6 fingers and DM me on X, and I will send it to Wes, and we will pull it up for the class. But I'm confused. I'm trying to figure out where the 6 fingers thing is. Maybe it's this one. Go ahead, pull that one up, Wes.
I feel like I would know if he was dead. You know, like I know the Ayatollah is probably in a coma. Like the second guy, I think they hit him with the missile.
Hey, Wes, throw this up here real quick. Okay, is this the one everyone's talking about? Please let me know, chat. Let us know. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3. Like this one has 6, but again, it's like, did somebody put this out there? That's fake.
The birds did not sing loud enough for Netanyahu to be dead.
So Steven says this is the photo. Okay. Again, I think this is a nothing burger. Eventually we're gonna find we're gonna find out, like he actually might come live, but then they're gonna say, well, that's AI and that's AI, but I don't know. at the end of the day. AI is getting scary at the end of the day. But what else we got?
Let's go to the Iranian president. Let's go to President Przevskin. That's at the bottom of page 1. And we'll go to his statement. We're going to cover the rest. We got one more Iranian clip, and then we got Trump Tucker to talk about, and then we'll be good.
Cool.
Bibi Netanyahu, I say, Bibi, please leave me alone. Why are you in my bedroom at night? Please, why am I so sore, Bibi? What's going on? What's the problem?
I never said that we are going to make bombs. I said that we have 440 kilos of 60% enriched material, and that was not a secret. That is what is mentioned in the reports of the IAEA. So I said that, look, this is mentioned in the report. This, if enriched more, can be good enough for 10 bombs, as your own experts claims. So we are ready to give them up, to give them away. We are ready to dilute them, to downblend them into lower degrees. And by saying that, I wanted to say that the concession that we are making is really big. But how they have interpreted that, I don't know. Maybe because the lack of enough knowledge, maybe because of their intentions to justify, as I said, the act of aggression, which cannot be justified. I hope that the true story of what happened on 26 February in Geneva would become, known to the people.
So he's talking about the negotiated offers, right? And ultimately, we were still in negotiations with the Iranians when we hit them. All right. So they made the arguments like, hey, like we were willing to dilute it or whatever. We just wanted to keep it. And we had the benchmark of absolutely zero enrichment. And that didn't come from the U.S. because the U.S. has been tacitly okay with limited enrichment before. That demand came from Israel. So just covering history here. And like he's making a valid point. He's like, we did try to negotiate on this, and they should take no for an answer.
Another super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat. We appreciate it. Tonight has been just a lot of love from you guys. I will have to say, I appreciate it. We've got
why is he at a bloody coffee shop? Sounds fake to me. I don't know. It doesn't take my spidey senses off, but like other people have that opinion.
Yeah. The internet's got new things they need to argue about every single day. But I think with time, I just
don't buy it.
You know how like everyone debated whether Khomeini was dead or not, and it was just a whole big thing for a couple of days. Everything comes to light at some point. So if he is, whoa, that's crazy. If not, then we clearly know that this is just some propaganda type of thing. So
will you scroll down really quick? Scroll down. All right, let's go to Tucker's statement. And we're going to play Tucker's statement. And then the last clip after that, we'll play Tucker accused of foreign agent. And we'll be good for today on the show. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Tonight was fun, honestly. I very much so have been enjoying these segments. Sundays are always my favorite, to be honest, because we have the guest, we have ability. I didn't do a deep dive tonight, guys.
He kind of did a deep dive. He was very informed, a very realistic person, even if we don't agree on everything or worldview necessarily. Like if the younger population has a consensus that it's the elites doing this all to us, and even if you're self-interested or whatever in preservation of your state or money or whatever, if you realize that killing people is antithetical to that, I think we can make progress. So
100%.
I mean, he was a very nuanced position. So
yes,
he's a very smart guy.
Go ahead and play this clip.
So the other day I found out that the CIA is preparing some kind of criminal referral against me, a crime report to the Department of Justice on the basis of a supposed crime I committed. What's that crime? Well, talking to people in Iran before the war. They read my texts. So the crime under consideration apparently would be the Foreign Agent Act or something like that, acting as an agent of a foreign power. And I don't expect this to go anywhere. I'm not too worried about an actual criminal case against me for a bunch of reasons. One, I'm not an agent of a foreign power. Unlike a lot of people commenting on U.S. politics and global affairs, I have only one loyalty, and that's the United States, and have never acted against it. Its interests are the only interests I care about because I'm from here and I have a lot of kids. So that's not a concern. I've also never taken money from anybody. Don't need it, don't want it, and that's provable. And moreover, it's my job to talk to everybody all the time and try and figure out what's happening around the world. That's literally what I do for a living. And I'm not going to stop doing that, nor should I don't think. I'm also an American. I can talk to anybody. I have no secrets to divulge. So legally, I think the case is ludicrous, and I doubt it'll even become a case. I'm bringing this up for a couple of reasons, though, and they're pretty obvious. One is that countries tend to become more authoritarian in wartime. It's just the nature of war. People are dying. The stakes are high. People's emotions have risen to a very high point, to a crescendo. And so there's much less tolerance for any kind of dissent in the homeland. The irony, of course, is the United States fights wars on behalf of freedom, but there's always less of it here in our country during war. So that's a widely recognized phenomenon, and it's likely to happen now too. Another point to make that is worth knowing is that the USIC, the intelligence agency, spy on Americans. They probably knew that. And
okay, so this is literally what we talked to Kyle Seraphin about, right?
Yes,
And that's how they're able to get access to your stuff without a warrant, is if you're like 6 degrees removed from a foreign person that they're investigating, they then can look at everything you do. And he's not 6 degrees away. He's talking to them directly.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's a journalist, right? Like, he's allowed to go talk to other people. He's an American citizen. Ultimately, it's not like Tucker Carlson's like, the coordinates to the latest sleeper cell attack are here. Like he's not involved in something like that. But they're spying on him directly, and he's under investigation.
I mean, when you get up there, man, and you start having a big platform and you start saying a lot of things, you got to be careful. There's people who just don't want these types of people to have voices at the end of the day. I think Tucker's more based than he ever has been.
No,
to be honest,
I think it's phenomenal because it's really anti-globalism, because you go, you're a globalist, you meet with all the other countries, support America. It's actually like, well, wouldn't it be nice if America wasn't isolated and hated around the world, and if we actually had relations and dialogues with these other countries? Like, I consider it to be patriotic, actually.
Well, and just think about the hypocrisy that's happening right now. This is a Republican administration that is out here doing this.
Yes, and they promised
Tucker,
not to.
And Tucker, by the way, everyone knows Fox Tucker. He was the biggest right-wing spokeshead person at one point, especially on Fox.
But he was anti-war, so they canned him.
He's right, but all I'm saying is this guy bled, true red at the end of the day. And so when you look at it, it's like, how are you any different than Biden and what they were doing during the COVID suppression and the investigations that they were doing on people that, deem illegal, not illegal, all these types of things. I think it's just one big hypocrisy where both sides are doing the same thing now.
Yeah, I think that's fair to say. I had a point. It just flew out of my head like a little birdie. It just left me.
No, you're totally fine. It has been a long night.
Yeah,
but
I was going to say something and it just went out of my brain. Oh, with Tucker. And that's what I was going to say. The Tucker didn't leave the party left Tucker. The Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't leave the party left Marjorie Taylor Greene. You see what I'm saying? Like this core, whatever you want to call it, MAGA or America First mindset that was dominant in 2024 and was the thing that really got Trump elected and built that wide base, that wide coalition. It included Democrats and Republicans that are like, hey, I want an end to the foreign entanglements and end to the wars. I want a prioritization of domestic policy. Really, that's a more socialist message, to be honest, that he was pushing.
Mm-hmm.
Like nationalizing industry and doing things like that. But instead of getting that, we get the extreme crony capitalism. And in that world, there's not really room for ideals or morality or defined political positions. It's just like Trump does whatever he needs to do to make the interests happy.
I think he has so much, somebody has so much on him, whether it's the Epstein files. This is possible, right? And this isn't a defense of Trump. I think Owen said this last time. He talked about blackmail, and I kind of saw it. I'm like, what? If Trump really has a lot of stuff and somebody has information to know, the really bad things he's done and they're controlling him, I think that's one aspect. But then I also think it's straightforward to where Trump is, got a very big ego, and anything that comes in conflict with that ego, he's got to exert the power. And I think that's more the case for myself. So
I totally agree. And we got an excellent comment from Ashley Fairburn here. People that literally helped them step up to where they got to, then got crapped on for asking, hey, what are we doing? This isn't what we said we were going to do.
Right.
That's literally what it is. And You can talk to one of these people, one of these neocons, one of these like MIGA, one of the mega people. You can talk
Mega, please.
You can talk to the mega people and they'll be like, this is what I voted for. And it's like, well, why did you vote for Trump then? Because he promised the opposite. But like, what world do you live in?
You know, them niggas gotta,
Megas
unite.
are crazy. it's insane. They're wild. They're around here trying to start wars and stuff.
Niggas in Paris, bro.
It's crazy. Oh man, they want to go to Tehran. All right, we're gonna close it off there. I think that's a good show.
Oh man,
I think that's a good show.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyways, guys, I have a lot of fun on these shows. I hope you guys do.
Follow him on X.
Before we get off, do me a favor, Wes. Can you pull up the Primal Core website real quick?
Oh yeah, we got a plug, guys.
It's not even really a plug. I actually want people to have an opportunity here.
Okay, break it down.
So the first thing I want to pay attention to is Primal Core. This is the brand. This is something that supports directly the show. We've got supplements here that are fantastic. Rex has formulated these himself. Core Fusion is our two main products combined together. Elemental Drive is the one that everybody's been raving about. That's the one where we've had people come on. They basically said it's given them this kind of like elevation in terms of their
brought
energy.
them back to feeling how they know they should feel. I'll break it down really quick. I want you to get into the protocol and everything you're going to lay down. Here's what I want to tell you about Core Fusion, about Ultimate Ashwagandha and Elemental Drive. What you have to understand about Ultimate Ashwagandha is that this is the most powerful, this is the top tested, this is the top rated adaptogen for lowering cortisol, lowering stress, promoting a healthy hormonal balance. If you're a man, it'll really raise your testosterone. That's what the studies say. That's why we're able to make that claim. The Elemental Drive is the premier nootropic mineral formula for anyone looking to upgrade their daily performance, their energy, their sleep, their vitality, everything. Both of these products are amazing for both men and women. A lot of the time I call the Elemental Drive like a ultimate like male mineral blend. It's really good for men and women. But let me tell you, if you want to increase your testosterone, if you want to increase your free testosterone, and if you want to lower your cortisol, these are the products for you to try. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the biggest thing is like the ashwagandha, you do it to like kind of regulate your state. Stress relief is a very big thing that comes, and that's from the cortisol itself.
Sleep quality, recovery, all of it.
And then Elemental Drive, I kind of look at it like this, like your body is built off of essential elements that allow you to actually function on a day-to-day. And a lot of people don't realize they're deficient in a lot of different aspects. And so what Elemental Drive and what Rex has done is he's created like the core foundation of the elements that you would need in order to function from a day-to-day basis.
Vital.
And that is what Elemental Drive is. Now, again, these are supplements that we are proud of. We take ourselves. At the same time, Rex does all the fulfillment. We everything is in-house and it goes directly back to the show. But one thing that I have seen people doing, go ahead and click on that affiliate program there in the top. Scroll up, Wes, at the very top. Yeah, go ahead and click that affiliate program. So it's not just about us. It's also about you. And we've had a couple of people that are loyal viewers, loyal fans, and they've actually signed up for our affiliate program. And so what the affiliate program is going to allow you to do is actually make money alongside while also giving people like your friends, your family a discount.
It's a 360 win for everybody. You get to supply the best products around at the best price around. You get to make a little bit or a lot of money too. Depends on how much you move. We're really here for you to succeed.
Yeah. And I've already seen people actually sign up for an affiliate. You get approved. Basically, your family, your friends, people can get a 20% discount using your code, and you also make money at the same time just from pushing the product. And it really does help. And at the end of the day, this is, if you do want to support the show, if this is important to you, if this is something you find value, these are the things that we look for. We're not looking to just personally benefit off of this. This is not, we do it for the love of the game at the end of the day. And we've got a lot of people behind the scenes helping us. We've got King West, King Damon, we got video editors. We got a lot of people that believe in us too. And we're trying to allow this to kind of trickle down and allow people to continue to work with us.
Well, the thing that's so amazing about the model of having your own stuff, being your own sponsor in part or in whole, is that you truly get to decide what you do with your operation, right? And this is a model that we've kind of taken from my dad, taken from other people in the space, and that we're doing on our own. We want to be loyal to one group of people, and that's you, the viewers and listeners of the broadcast. We want to be loyal to you. We want to provide the best value that we can. And hey, if we can make a system where you're getting phenomenal supplements at a phenomenal price, you're watching the show and you're making money, that's a 360 win.
Yes, that is a 360 win. And at the end of the day, if you sign up for the affiliate program, super easy. You put in your information, your email. Wow, Kent is
Kent,
just
you're amazing,
superstar
man.
today. Another $50 super chat
I think
from
there's
Kent.
super stickers too. Lemon character and baby lemon
twirling around in the air, hugging.
How sweet, dude!
Thank you,
so
Kent.
much. You got no idea. how
All
much that
star
means to us,
today.
man.
You guys have been amazing. But I'm just gonna reiterate: go sign up for the affiliate link. You go to goprimalcore.com. It is linked in the bio of our gray area. You can just type it in. You can search goprimalcore.com. Also, if you look on X, you'll see our products there along the lower banner. You can click on that. That'll take you to the website, and you can easily find the affiliate program. God bless you guys.
Thank you.
That is all that I have for you guys tonight.
Beautiful ending, man. Thank you so much for being here. Phenomenal guest, phenomenal show as always. Phenomenal audience. Thank you for being here on the Gray Area, episode 57.
Take care, guys.
Modern life has left us out of balance. Long ago it was once said, certain remedies could grant a man the vitality of a horse. For over 6,000 years, these natural remedies have been harvested and tested by generations. Why create complex formulas when nature's roots are still in our hands? Try Primal Core. Ancient remedies for modern life.